What's up, everybody? You're very welcome along to tonight's late night agenda, and I am joined by Mr. Jack Gill. Jack, how are we?
I'm good, thanks, mate. It's been a decent day. Premier League football's back tomorrow. I've sorted out my fantasy team today. So, yeah, buzzing.
Feels a bit more normal seeing you with the baseball cap on again. It was a little bit thrown the other day when you did the stream and you hadn't got the cap on. It felt weird. I almost felt naked for you.
Yeah, I've gone back to the baseball cap. I'm trying to grow my hair. I'm going for a Jack Grealish look. That's what I know. Sorry, that's heartbreaking for you, Craig. I know. But yeah, that's what I'm looking to go to next. I'm in the bit of the in-between phase at the minute. So sometimes I like to have it down, but baseball cap, the trusty baseball cap's back out today, mate.
I thought, what you're talking about. Look at the length of my hair. I haven't shaved it today. I'm one step away from dreadlocks at this point, mate. And look, ladies and gentlemen, before we get stuck into all the transfer gossip, and there is a little bit to go through tonight, before we get your comments and go through everything else as well, I have to give a shout out to our sponsors, Manscaped. Now, you do know the brand new Performance Package 4.0 has dropped all over Europe. Get yourselves over to manscaped.com. Use our code WFM20. You can get yourself this brilliant package that includes not just the Lawnmower 4.0, the Weed Whacker, which is the ear and nose hair trimmer, the Ball Toner, the Ball Deodorant. You also get everything inside a cool little bag, and you get your boxer briefs as well. And Jack, I don't know about you, mate, but I'm getting a bit of a pain in my arse with my balls thanking me so often.
Yeah, unfortunately, I've not used Manscaped yet, but I'm going to have to get on it, mate, because it sounds awesome. The ball deodorant is something that I think I'm in need of, especially. And, there's just so much. I didn't think I needed grooming this much, but there's just so much to be done.
Here's a bit of fascinating news for you. Did you know that their 4th generation trimmer features a cutting-edge ceramic blade to reduce grooming accidents thanks to their advanced skin-safe technology? The Lawnmower 4.0 has not 4, not 5, not 6, but 7,000 RPM, Jack, as well as a new multifunction on and off switch, which you can engage a travel lock and gives you the ability to have a 4000K LED light.
Well, it's better than the typical hedge trimmer that I usually get on it. Yeah, it sounds like I must buy it, mate. I'm going to be using that 20%.
And just if you do want to use that 20%, Jack, remember WFM20 as across the board on all of our stuff. And thank you to the good folks at Manscaped. As always, without you guys, I wouldn't be as sexy as I am. It's as simple as that. Right, Mr. Baseball Cap, what do we want to get stuck into first? I mean, you want to let them know, or do you want to break some hearts, or will I break some hearts, mate? I mean, it looks like there's the possibility of a centre-back moving on, one that, we've got nothing confirmed yet, but it's starting to come through the grapevine, trickle by trickle, that a certain superstar, a certain man that would head a brick wall, may be seeing the Anfield exit sooner rather than later.
Yeah, Nat Phillips murmurs that, he is the replacement for Yannick Vestergaard at Southampton. There's the potential that he will be going there. From what I've heard, there's nothing concrete and there's nothing set in stone, but he is a target of Southampton's, and we'll see on that front. But yeah, I think it was clear to us.
Jack, on this front, Abdi, go fuck yourself. We will talk about whatever we want, whenever we want, in whatever order we want. And if you don't want to, fuck off to one of your ITK accounts that will just give you transfer gossip. Sorry to interrupt you, Jack. There just needs to be some bitch slapping done every now and again.
Yeah, I think to be honest, it was obvious from that friendly the other day that Nat Phillips and Shaqiri would be moving on soon. And I think we've known, haven't we? There's lots of Premier League interest in Nat Phillips, bottom half Premier League clubs such as Brighton, Burnley and Southampton looking at him. And I think, journalists will put 2 and 2 together now and expect that to accelerate with Yannick Vestergaard looking like he is likely to go to Leicester after that bid was accepted yesterday.
It is a very strange situation. I mean, I'm not surprised there's interest in Nat Phillips. I mean, we've known of Brighton. I think West Ham are interested at one point, maybe Burnley certainly interested, but I was extremely shocked yesterday to hear about the news that they're willing to sell Vestergaard to Leicester because, maybe I'm a bit naive, but I was fully expecting Leicester to go after Ozan Kabak and get the bargain that I thought we missed out on. So, what are your thoughts on maybe Nat Phillips coming in as that possible replacement there at Southampton? Do you think it's a good fit?
It's an interesting one, isn't it? I really rate Yannick Vestergaard. And I was like you. I saw the news. I was incredibly shocked, especially when there were suggestions last night that it's been accepted. But he, like Danny Ings, only has a year left on his contract, and if he's not likely to sign one, I think Southampton are cashing in. I'm sure Southampton fans are going to be worried going into the season, but Adam Armstrong in for Danny Ings. Though in terms of you're getting a player who doesn't have any Premier League experience and isn't the known Premier League scorer like Danny Ings, it's a like for like in terms of how the players play and stuff like that. And I think getting rid of Yannick Vestergaard and bringing Nat Phillips, again, it's a risk for Southampton. You're losing a top class centre half in Vestergaard. But you're bringing in a man who was very impressive in the last season with the game time he's got, and he's still relatively young. His abilities are clear to see. He's very strong in the air. He's very physical, and he could do a job for a bottom half Premier League side, in my opinion. And it is a signing for Southampton that's high risk, but they're getting someone who is known to have ability in the Premier League. He's played in a top class side last season for us, of course. And I think it'd be a decent signing for Southampton or Burnley or Brighton or wherever he goes.
15 million for Vestergaard as a fee, by the way. I mean, Leicester, they just do bits, don't they, mate? It's ridiculous.
They do, and you're losing a player like Fofana to an injury, and you're getting in an outstanding centre half in Vestergaard, and I think that just sums up the recruitment at Leicester, where they managed to find bargains, and there were rumours that they were going to go for Tarkowski, who would have cost them about 30 million, and at one point I saw that Leicester may have been even quoting more than that. So for them to then go out and sign Vestergaard for 15 million is just once again class recruitment from Leicester, and I can never stop praising Leicester for their recruitment because it's always outstanding.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, obviously, it's disappointing to lose Nat Phillips after what he did last year, but I'm a realist. I can't see a way that he genuinely fits into our squad or he gets game time ahead of the four that are certainly ahead of him in the pecking order in Matip, Gomez, Van Dijk and Canade. And you've got to be fair to the lad here as well, Jack. He's 24 years of age now, I think, Nat Phillips. He's spent time at Stuttgart, was probably going to be farmed out in January last summer, only for a last minute decision to keep him. And he's earned himself a move, whether it be Southampton or whether somebody else maybe comes in. It looks like, am I right in saying 10 to 12 million, probably the fee Liverpool are looking for?
Yeah, probably around there. I think for that, when you look at it at face value, that's about right. As you say, 24. I think now's the time to cash in for Liverpool. I think, he would be nowhere near this valuation if you're talking about last summer. But he had a very good season for us, it has to be said. He was thrown in at the deep end, but he impressed many Liverpool fans and became a bit of a cult hero for us, didn't he? Towards the end of the season. And he put in regular, consistent, good performances and helped us get a Champions League place. It has to be said. So, yeah, I think it'll be sad to see the back of Nat Phillips, but Southampton are getting a decent player, and it's not a bad replacement for Yannick Vestergaard. And it's some good money for us at the end of the day.
This I want to know about because this has been baffling me all day. I've been keeping an eye out all day trying to figure out what's going on with the with St. George's Hall. Have you any idea? I mean, it was supposed to be today, yeah? It was supposed to be today. There was something happening. It was booked for something. We've seen no Mohamed Salah contract renewal. We've seen no new kit launch. We've seen nothing. Have you heard any word, any inkling as to what it might have been, or was it complete bullshit?
I don't know. It could be Mbappe there, to be honest. I did see on playing trackers that there was a flight from Paris earlier, so it could be that, but who knows? But no,
him and James Milner fighting behind the scenes for the number 7 now.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, it could be anything. The thing that I thought was a Salah and Van Dijk contract, but I've heard nothing and seen nothing all day. I do expect them to come in, but I don't think anything's been kept this quiet, and we don't seem like there's anything close. So therefore, I think I thought it was either the third kit or Salah and Van Dijk's contract. And I think the fact that we've heard nothing all day, I think it's likely to be the latter, to be honest with you.
It does look like of the players, Van Dijk is the next one. From all the stuff coming out in the media, he seems to be the one that's closest to renewing his contract. And it is very odd, isn't it? Because Van Dijk's 30 years of age now. It's like FSG are breaking all of their own rules because it's Virgil van Dijk. And damn right that they should as well, by the way, because Virgil van Dijk shouldn't play by any normal human being's rules. But another good piece of business, if we've tied him down, Fabinho, Alisson, obviously Trent, Harvey Elliott, Musialowski, Queven Kelleher. I mean, it's a good summer, Jack, but they ain't signings, mate, are they? And I'm seeing more and more of the spin as the days go by about Harvey Elliott maybe being a Shaqiri replacement. Well, 2 fucking minutes ago he was going to be a Gini Wijnaldum replacement, and I'm getting confused how many players one man can cover.
Yeah, Liverpool love a new deal, don't they, for the PR, and I feel like that has been a lot of what this summer has been about. Our answer to players, to other clubs spending hundreds of millions have been, here's a new contract. But as good as that is, in terms of tying these players down, fresh faces are also important. Otherwise, we'll be left behind. It's as simple as that. And, I do feel as though as good as these new contracts are and as good as it is to tie down players like Van Dijk, Salah, Fabinho, Alisson, Trent, genuine world-class players, we also need to see some coming in as well for competition for these players because, when players have played for a new contract and not a new long-term contract but don't have competition, usually that can be where you see a slight dip in form. So, fingers crossed we do see at least one incoming before the end of the window.
I wanted to just touch on this, and thank you for the super chat, by the way, Sonny. Just said, if no incomings, lads, what represents a good season? And I have to be honest, Jack, and say I have started to contemplate this. If we don't do any more business, what will be a good season? What will, I mean, I have to say, nothing. It has to have a trophy in it. No matter what, to me, this season has to have a trophy in it too. Now, I have recorded my full season's preview, which will be out tomorrow. I've done positions 1 to 9, the relegation 3, young player of the year, first manager to be sacked, Champions League, Europa Conference League. I've gone big, Jack. I've gone big. But what does represent to you? What will be a decent season with just Canada in and nobody else lost or nobody else brought in?
I think where this squad's at, we should have an eye on a trophy, and whether that's realistic or not with what other clubs have done this summer and what we've done. I think that's where the club's at the minute. That's where we should be aiming. And, we should be going into every season at the minute with the best manager in the world in Jurgen Klopp, with a strong squad. Though it should be improved more, in my opinion. We should be going into every season wanting to fight for the Premier League title and wanting to be in the race to, try and get as far as we can in the Champions League and maybe even win it. And, for me, Klopp doesn't seem to like the domestic competitions as much as other managers do in England. And, I think potentially this year, maybe we should have, we should have a look at the FA Cup as something that we look to win as well. You look at players like Jordan Henderson, that's one trophy that he hasn't won yet. Do we look at that as something to just say, yes, we've got a trophy in the bag this season and see how far we can go in the Premier League and Champions League as well? But to be honest with you, Craig, as a Liverpool fan, I want to see Liverpool competing in the Champions League and Premier League every season. And I think that this squad is good enough to do that without any additions. Don't get me wrong, we need additions and it makes us more likely to do that. But I think where the club is at the moment, that's what we need to be doing.
I want to get on to talk about additions and one particular person in a second, so do bear with me, folks. But I just want to answer something that's been going on in the chat a little bit. People are talking about the AFCON and how long the lads will be missed for. If I'm not mistaken, Jack, it's a maximum of 3 Premier League games if they go all the way in it, with maybe a couple of domestic cup games. So it's not really it's not ideal, but it's certainly not the worst case scenario with the AFCON. I mean, I wouldn't be signing somebody just for the back of the AFCON, put it that way. But do you think it's going to have much of an impact on the season, or do you think we'll be able to cope? It does come at the time of the season for us that we usually have that little dip.
Yeah, I think it's 3 games. I think it's 2 Premier League and 1 FA Cup. And they probably wouldn't play in the FA Cup anyway. But you're quite right in the fact that it's a crucial part of the season. The players play a lot of games over that short period of time, and that means more games played for Mane and Salah, more chance of an injury, and Naby, of course, as well. And it is a worry. It is a real big worry, Craig. And, that's why I think we spoke before the importance of getting an attacker in this transfer window, in my opinion, because, we need more depth. Because if last season showed that when the going got tough and we had Salah and Mane not at their best for parts of the season, the dip in quality between them and our other options is huge. And we could do with bringing in someone like Doku or someone of that caliber who could really step on their heels and mean that when they aren't performing, there's a threat for their position in the side.
Well, let's get straight into Jeremy Doku, because that is the latest of the names. It's not a new name, but it is the name that's becoming, I suppose, to the forefront of everybody's attention at the minute. More and more media links. What do we know about the situation? Well, we know he's got 4 years left on his wrong contract. We know that he has been and shown around, and we tried to pitch him the vision of Liverpool before. I believe they even rolled out Gerrard at the time to try and convince him. Sadio Mane was there having a conversation with him, and he was impressed with what he's seen. But do you know, I respect his maturity to go back to Anderlecht and to actually back himself to continue to succeed. He's obviously gone on to Ron. He's 1 year into his deal there. And there's talk, Jack, that a price of about 40 to 45 million euro would be the number to get him out of Ron. Now, do you think that that's a gamble worth taking? Because there is no guarantee. He looks like an exciting talent, but, it is for us and the way we go about it, it's a not unsubstantial amount of money.
No, and he reminds me of, I think I said this the other day, he plays, in my opinion, in a similar sort of style to Sadio Mane when he first arrived from Southampton. And I think, he would make a very good long-term Mane replacement. He's still very young. There's clearly been interest from Liverpool for a very, very long time. And it would make sense at face value, based also on the fact that obviously Mane had a slightly disappointing season last season, as far as we're concerned, as far as he's concerned. And therefore, maybe there's a potential worry that Mane has reached his maximum now. But with that being said, I think Doku will simply be bought in first as an extra option.
So you're saying Mane reaches Maximus?
No, I don't think that personally, but I think he may be bought in similarly to what happened last year when we bring in Jota. He's there solely to put pressure on, the front three. It happened where, he put pressure on Firmino, and now a lot of fans would put him ahead of Firmino in the pecking order. And I think Doku would do the same to Mane, and it puts pressure on Mane then to compete with someone else in Doku for his position. And I think competition is very healthy, particularly when you look at last season and you look at the options that we had from our bench in the new year. We were stuck, and bringing in Doku would leave us spoiled for choice, really, because we're bringing in another excellent attacker. And I've spoken before, I would personally rather a number 9, a typical out-and-out goal scorer. But I think that there's no problem with bringing in another attacker who can compete for a place in the side, because that's what we were missing last season when we went through that disappointing spell.
I want to bring this up because I think it's a good debate, and I want the chat to get involved in it. So Ross believes that by the time both the careers are over, that we'll be looking back as Curtis Jones as a superior player to Harvey Elliott. I personally would disagree, but at the same time cannot say how highly I rate both of them. I love the two guys, and I hope that they do well. But I mean, I am bowled over by what I'm seeing with Harvey Elliott and his maturity, his game intelligence, and his movement and his link-up play on the right-hand side, and how quickly he has progressed from making his debut as a 15 or 16-year-old at Fulham to his time with Tony Mowbray, obviously at Blackburn. And, one thing's for certain, he is staying around this season, Jack. He's not going out on loan. He is part of the first team plans.
Yeah, absolutely. We spoke about this the other day, didn't we, on Harvey, Elliot, and I honestly think he'll be up there with the best young talents in England soon when he gets the game time he deserves. I think he will be in and around the squad this season, and he deserves to be. His pre-season has been outstanding in a position where we're not used to seeing him. Curtis Jones is also a top quality player. We saw that last year when he had his breakthrough season, really. I knew that before from his, youth career at Liverpool, and also prior to last season when he had glimpses in the first team and really shone in games such as the Merseyside Derby and the Cup. They're both fantastic young talents. They both have potential to have very long and very good futures at Liverpool Football Club. And it's all about having a plan for them now, giving them the game time they deserve, but also not overrunning them, also ensuring that they don't get long-term injuries, because they are the future of this football club. And what's brilliant about them both as well is they both love Liverpool Football Club, and they both love playing for Liverpool Football Club, and they are the young players that you want to have in and around the football club. And I believe they both are capable of going very, very far.
By the way, ladies and gentlemen, don't think we've forgotten about you guys in the transfer window. We're trying to leave things as late as we can to get the big guns on, and it looks like at some point next week, myself and Jack will be sitting down with James Pearce, a good friend of the channel, certainly somebody I know that you've known over the years as well. And, we will be grilling Mr. Pearce on all things LFC related. And it's why I never accept any James Pearce negativity on this channel, mate, because whatever we think about journalists and opinions, I've yet to meet a more down-to-earth, nice man in this industry, in that particular industry, than James Pearce. He is one of the good ones.
He is, and he's always got time for people like you and I and everyone, Craig, hasn't he?
Well, mate, hang on. I'm a fucking superstar, mate.
Yeah, but I think even when you weren't, Craig, he was, and I know you're a born superstar, but still, even we were talking a couple of years ago, Pearce would have done something with you, and I know from the Academy channel I used to do that he did a couple of stuff with us as well, and he's just a top quality person, and he's very insightful, and I know people think he's full of bad news, but that's just the way Liverpool keep their news to themselves now, and that's just how we run the club after what happened with Virgil van Dijk.
What I love about James Pearce or Melissa Reddy or Paul Joyce, and I keep saying the same thing, is you might not get the breaking news, you might not get the here we go that you get with Fabrizio Romano, but you will get every detail from the moment of the interest to the time that they signed on the dotted line. All those blanks get filled by those great journalists like Melissa Reddy and James Pearce, Paul Joyce. They leave no stone unturned, and I'm huge fans of a lot of the work that they all do. So, I like to wind up journalists at times. I like to have a little bit of fun with some of the guys from the Echo on occasion as well, because I think there's a little bit of snobbery there from some of them. But all in all, James Pearce is one of the good ones, and we do hope to have him on next week, ladies and gentlemen. So we will ask you for any questions that you want to put to him when we have a confirmed date. But it's going to be a duo. We're going to double team him, Jack. We're going to give him no chance to get out. It's going to be tag teaming us on James Pearce. That could be clicked up in the wrong way, but hey.
Yeah, I was just about to say that'll be clicked up by that TikTok account that do the fantasy threesomes, but no, it's.
You need to find this TikTok account, by the way. So.
Yes. It's going to be a good one. It's always good chatting to Mr. Pearce himself, who is confirmed to be better than James Rodriguez, by the way. James Rodriguez, sorry. If you follow me on Twitter, you'll know what I mean by that.
What I love about James Pearce as well is his sense of humour, man. He understands it all. He knows the social media game. He doesn't take it too seriously. And as you said, he always has time for little lads like yourself. He'll always make time for the me's, the Mark Olbridges, the superstars of this world. True Geordie, myself. There's always time for us A-listers. But, you're in the box tonight, by the way. And I did this on purpose. I don't know if you seen That's Football last night, but Goldbridge had the cheek to put me in a box.
Wow. Yeah, well, I'm in the box tonight, so I know how it feels. But your box office, mate, I'm in a box and your box office. So, yeah, that's what you should take it as.
I'll take it. I'll take any positive to this one. Look, I want there's loads I want to get to, and we're going to do a whole Q&A part of this as well, ladies and gentlemen, because we want your questions and your topics. But I want to just read out some of the I'm going to try my best to hold my language back here, Jack, but this fucking Omadon, yet again, has been out talking about Liverpool. And I'm talking about somebody that they have the cheek to call an ex-Manchester City star. That in itself is fucking pushing it. But Trevor Sinclair has been given it this again. And by the way, Omadon, for anyone who isn't aware, is an Irish word meaning idiot. There are no undertones to it that you want to try and catch us out on or anything. But this is what he's had to say. Former Manchester City winger, see, they've already dropped the star there, one sentence in, and he's become from a star to a winger, believes the real possibility Liverpool will miss out on the top four this Premier League season. The Reds battled back from adversity last campaign to secure a third-place finish, winning 8 of the final 10 fixtures to complete a remarkable turnaround. But Jurgen Klopp's side now look to be challenging for the league once again, having been boosted by the return of Gomez. But Sinclair's not convinced by the Reds and has highlighted the team's lack of squad depth as a concern. Does this lad ever not talk nonsense? Genuinely. One, I barely remember Trevor fucking Sinclair, and I'm old. But two, shut the fuck up.
Yeah, it's just trash talk, isn't it? It's ridiculous, and going into the new season, then bring it on, I say, Craig. You know, because time and time again, Jurgen Klopp will prove them wrong. It's as simple as that.
Where are they dragging these Sinclairs, these Gabiad Bon Lahores, these lads that are just dragging on to talk shite and all these other channels to just talk complete bollocks and waffle?
But the thing is, Craig, it happens before every season. And it was happening in February and March when people were going, oh, Liverpool are going to miss out on top four. Look, Liverpool have only just beaten West Brom with an Alisson goal. They're going to miss out on top four. They can't be this lucky all the time. But we prove them wrong time and time again. That's what we do. That's what we've done ever since Jurgen Klopp has come to the football club. That doubters to believers slogan, that's there for a reason, because that's what we do, not just with fans of Liverpool Football Club, but with opposition fans, with people like Trevor Sinclair. They try and put us down time and time again. They try and suggest that this will be the year that we miss out on top four because we've not done much in the summer. But time and time again, Jurgen Klopp proves them wrong. And we're not throwing money about like Chelsea, like City, like United, teams like that. But we will be in and around them this season. And we will do that because of the people like Jurgen Klopp. And it's as simple as that. And, you know, you can only smile at comments like that because for me, it just makes this season even more special when once again we finish in the top four. Once again, we're in and around teams like Manchester City who have a budget and spend money far much more than we do. And it just makes him look stupid.
Here's a question. I was hoping something like this might come up. Craigo, if you had to choose one that you had to hear from every day, Sinclair or Cundy, mate, I would literally stick 2 pokers into both of my ears rather than listen to Jason Cundy or Trevor Sinclair. Or, you know, I don't mind Simon Jordan the odd time on Talk Shite because I think Simon Jordan can make some good points having been an owner of a club and stuff like that. But what gets me is some of these guys have the cheek to look down their nose at fan channels. They say the fan channels are the problem, that they cause toxicity. Whereas the likes of all that they do are bring, let's just say, susceptible people on to make moronic comments to clip up and put out on social media to try and sell ad space and get clicks on their shitty sites. They're basically bad fan channels. That's the way I look at them.
Put it this way: if I had to sit in a room with either of them for 30 seconds, I'd be on my phone booking a one-way flight to Switzerland, and I'd never come back.
And you're not going for a Toblerone anyway, let's put it that way.
No, not at all. No way.
Yeah, it is mad, like, because I don't understand what they think the appeal is. Like, with all due respect, as footballers, look, I'm not knocking them. They made it further in the game than I ever did and you ever did. And, you know, nobody can ever take that away from them. But who the fuck wants to hear from them? I don't. I love to hear from the likes of, you know, my favourite type of punditry is when you get somebody like an Arsene Wenger or a Jose Mourinho or somebody like that who sits on a panel and really breaks it down. I seen a wonderful piece actually by a former goalkeeper, and I can't remember which one it was, breaking down the technical aspect of what a goalkeeper did and what he did wrong. And that's the type of stuff I love, because what they don't understand is no matter what they do, no matter who they bring in, no matter how clickbaity they get or how much money they throw at it, the whole point about fan channels and what we do is that we have the authenticity. We have the strength of our convictions to say what we actually want. We don't need to lick the arse of the club. We can be honest and we can do it in a way that I think, has mass appeal to people who see similarities in us. So it always get wound up, and I shouldn't have probably brought that up, but you know me, Jack, I've got a short temper, and when I see stuff like this knocking our football club and our manager and already trying to spread negative. Now, why aren't they spending this much time and this much effort trying to figure out what's going on at PSG and what's going on at Manchester City, and why aren't they doing some actual journalism, unlike the Daily Mail, who were the ones that actually had to go? Sporting Intel, brilliant account. I don't know if you follow Nick Harris on Twitter. He had an amazing thread talking about the 2-year legal battle that they had to even be allowed inside the courtroom to hear about the Manchester City investigation from the Premier League. That's proper journalism. Then Miguel Delaney's of this world, Paul Joyce's, that's who I have time for, not these lads who were, average footballers at best. Cundy as an example. I'm going on a rant here. I can feel it. Cundy as an example, former Chelsea player. That's what we know him as. But he also played for Spurs. Spurs playing against Manchester City in the Champions League semi-final. And who was the fucker, or was it the quarter-final? Quarter-final. Who was the fucker sitting there cheering for? It wasn't his former club. He was celebrating a Manchester City goal that time when the Raheem Sterling one was ruled out. He was there celebrating. Now imagine being a Spurs fan, seeing that one of your ex-players there celebrating a goal against you by Abu Dhabi FC.
Yeah, it's ridiculous, mate. And that PSG stuff you brought up is very interesting because I got caught in a wormhole of that last night. We've just got a brand new puppy, so it was keeping me up till very late.
Name? I love a puppy. What's the name?
Bobby.
Oh,
Bobby,
yes, sir.
Bobby.
Well played.
Yes. So we've got a brand new puppy. I was in the wormhole, fuming at the whole PSG thing, of course. And they're scrolling through, just reading up on it, and it's it's not interesting. It's so infuriating to see how they've managed to get around this. They've got their own cryptocurrency, which is helping them pay Messi's wages. They've also managed to sweet talk UEFA, and they tried to keep them sweet with the whole Super League thing, due to obviously the World Cup being in Qatar, and obviously PSG's owner Qatari, and there's so much more about it. Therefore, FFP and UEFA agreed to not allow them to follow FFP for 2 years or something. It's so mad how they've managed to get around it, and shows how corrupt football is. We already knew it with all the Sepp Blatter stuff and stuff like that, but football really is going down the shitter. And if you don't believe that that's going on at Manchester City as well, you only need to look into the fact that most of their sponsors are owned by their owners, and that's how they go about doing things. It's mental, mate. It's absolutely mental. And we see these clubs getting away with FFP time and time again, and it's so frustrating for a side like us who are run really sustainably. And it makes our fans turn, because they see, teams like Manchester City and Chelsea get away with it, and fans aren't level-headed, start to think that Liverpool should be doing that as well. But no, that's not the case. And for me, when I see people like Trevor Sinclair saying what they say, he's an ex-City player and his club are run how they are, but we'll be not far away from them at the end of the season, and we won't have spent anywhere near as much as they have. So what I say to that, Craig, is bring them all on.
Here's what gets me. I'm a little bit different to most people on Chelsea, by the way. I don't put them in the same class as Manchester City and PSG. Now, I will openly say that I think Abramovich changed the football financial landscape in the way that he came in there and started spending money, but they have gotten to a point where they are pretty sustainable with the excellent loan market that they have and improving players. But if we just come back to PSG for a second and the shithousery that's going on there, as things currently stand, their wage bill seems to be sitting at in and around 500 million euro a year. I'm going to say that again, 500 million euro, £500 million a year. Now, you're trying to tell me that a club that was formed in 1970 has this worldwide fan base or can command genuine sponsorship deals that will make up and eclipse the likes of Liverpool or Manchester United or Juventus, Barcelona, Real Madrid. It all just thinks to high heaven. And add to that the fact that they deliberately stayed out of the Super League, in my opinion, and this is just my opinion, because the Qatar World Cup is coming up and they didn't want to piss off UEFA or FIFA over that one. So not only did they play a blinder by staying out of that, they then managed to find their way onto the UEFA Executive Committee, I think it is. And now look, shock horror. They're able to sign Messi, keep Neymar, and have a little bit of Kylian Mbappe there as well. Not too shabby while they add in Gianluigi Donnarumma, Hakimi, who else they brought in this summer? Ramos, Gini Wijnaldum. And people think, free signings. No such thing, mate. I know for a fact that Messi got a 25 million quid signing on bonus. I know for a fact that Gianluigi Donnarumma is on about 12 to 14 million euro a year. Gini Wijnaldum's on about 12 million euro a year. Ramos is on about the same. There's no way that this club genuinely generates that income. No way. It's just not possible.
No, not at all. And it's incredibly frustrating, and that's what I mean. And when you read into it more, because most football fans know what you just said, Craig, and when you read into it more, you see about the cryptocurrency stuff as well. I'm not 100% sure if that's true, but that's what I saw on a couple of different places today, that they're planning on paying Messi partly with this cryptocurrency that's part of their sponsorship deal with a certain sponsor and stuff like that. They're finding their way around so many rules, and they'll get away with it time and time again. And they'll, I watched the Messi interview the other day where they tried to maintain that they'll make up for it in shirt sales. Now, yeah, don't get me wrong, Messi will sell a lot of shirts, I'm sure, and having Neymar and Mbappe and selling their shirts will probably help, but there's no way that you can afford all of them and tick all the boxes of FFP. And, don't forget they managed to sign Neymar for a record-breaking 200 million and then find their way around getting a deal for Mbappe as well in the same window a couple of years ago and still got away. Yep, and still got away with FFP then. It's all bollocks, mate. It's all absolute bollocks. And, this summer has shown that this whole year has shown for me, we already knew football was going down the pan in terms of money. We already knew that football was a business now more than a sport, but it's really going the wrong way. And this year has probably been the worst year for football that I have seen in my lifetime.
And you know what? It's going to make it all the sweeter, mate, when they still don't win the Champions League.
Fingers crossed, mate. Fingers crossed. If them and City can still go another year without winning the Champions League and have to spend another few $100 million in the summer to try and do it, then bring it on, mate. Because, as I say, we don't know what's happening with Mbappe yet, but it can't be fun playing in that French league. It really can't be fun. So you're going to PSG for one thing, and their players must be getting frustrated every year that they don't win the Champions League. It's the same thing with Manchester City.
Yeah, and look, we should probably move on and get back to all things Liverpool, because I feel like we could both rant about this for hours on end. It's probably something we should do when we're offline in our own private time. But to get back to the transfer window, time is ticking against us. I mean, looking at there now, 12th of August, there's 19 days to go in the window. 19 days, 1 hour and 36 minutes to go in the transfer window. It looks like the Shaqiri move to Lyon, I think it will get over the line. I mean, I understand we're a bit away in the valuations, but once that happens, that does free up an overseas squad place. The one I'm struggling to see a buyer for at the minute is Origi. And do you think it might get to a point where we just loan Origi out to try and free up a squad place? Or do you think that there's maybe a West Ham who missed out on Tammy Abraham or something sniffing around there?
It's an interesting one because I think Origi provides a different option. We don't have another out-and-out goal scorer in the squad. And with that being said, I think his squad role for this season was made clear by the fact that Cade Gordon was played ahead of him in our last pre-season friendly. So, I think that makes it very clear to Divock Origi. And if that is the case, he's on substantial wages for a player that's not going to be playing much at all. So, a loan deal may be beneficial to both him and the football club. But yeah, it's going to be interesting. I've thought throughout the summer that, as it looks clearer and clearer that we're struggling to, move Origi on, that a loan deal was probably the most likely. A club like West Ham seems like a good fit. If we are interested in Jared Bowen, will that be part of the deal? Possibly. But yeah, it really is an interesting one, Craig. And I find it bizarre that no one's interested in Divock Origi, because there's a decent player there. There is. I know it's hard to get it out of him, but when he's in form, he's a good player.
Nah, mate, shite.
I mean, he's shite for a team like us, but if you look at a team like, if you look at a team in the bottom half of the Premier League, would he score 10 plus goals in the season? Would he have the potential of keeping them up in the Premier League? Potentially.
I think he's a confidence player. So I think if he went to a club like Southampton, I could see him maybe getting 10 goals. Yeah. I think he feels, he's always seemed to me like somebody that needs a manager, or to put an arm around him, and Klopp's done that. So I've been baffled. And actually, I want to just go back to Doku for a second, because I've seen mixed reaction in the chat on Jeremy Doku, and I don't know about you, Jack, but if I was to put a percentage on this, I'm over the 50% mark towards Doku being signed this summer. I feel like I'm edging closer and closer to getting to a point where I think it's the most likely one. So before I read out these stats, I just want to get your take on how convinced do you think this could be this summer, or is it a next summer FC signing?
If I had to put money on Liverpool signing one player this summer, and one player in particular, it would be Doku. He would be the one that I am most convinced that Liverpool are likely to sign. It's as simple as that. I'm not saying that it will be done, but from the murmurs, from everything, it just seems to me like the best option, the best fit, and the best possibility right now. And therefore, I'm more inclined to think that he will be a Liverpool player by the end of the summer than any other player that obviously isn't a current Liverpool player. So, yeah, it's for me, Craig. I think it is a genuine possibility that we will see Doku in a Liverpool shirt before the end of the window.
I tend to agree. And on this one, like, here's some statistics for you. So he dribbled past 104 opponents last season, the sixth most by any player in one of Europe's top 5 leagues. The only people ahead of him were Messi, Neymar, and a couple of others. So you can see already there with Jeremy Doku, we've got lightning pace. We've got somebody who likes to get down and run at people. And that's the type of player, mate, that gets me up off the edge of my seat. And I think that's what we need at Liverpool. People are going to rightly say, where are the goals going to come from? Salah can't score them all. They need to be shared around. But I think last season we've seen an exceptionally low figure from Sadio. I think he'll increase that. I think if Naby Keita can stay fit, we'll get a few from there. And Firmino and Jota, I think, will probably get 10 to 12 each. So I want to get your thoughts on that before I move on to a couple of other bits of my notes and links to from Liverpool to players who, let's be honest, one of them I've never heard of, and I'm hoping you have. So,
yeah, I think Doku would be a great signing for us. I said that at the start of this show. I think he really would be outstanding. I think he would be business that is for the future as well as for now. We know that there's a good player there now, but he's also still very, very young, and he's still got so much more capabilities. And playing the young Klopp, I think he would just really, really excel. And yeah, for me, Doku would be a great signing for us. I really, really do think that.
If this is about Doku, then you couldn't be any further from the truth, mate. I mean, if the fact we showed him around Anfield when he was 16 doesn't tell you that he's on our radar and hasn't been on our radar for a long time, I don't know what will. But I want to bring your attention to something from Corriere dello Sport, saying the Reds are considering making a bid for 21-year-old Monaco player, God, how do I pronounce this guy's name? Tchouaméni? Ring any bells to you, Jack? Because I've got to say, Juventus are also being linked with him, but apparently impressed in League One last term, and there's talk of a bid in the region of 25 million quid would be enough to get him to leave. But again, to me, mate, this just out of the blue. Never heard of the guy before. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, I can't say I've seen too much of him. I'm not going to lie and say that I know who he is, because I don't. But yeah, it's it's not the names we want to be hearing, is it? But I don't know whether that's true or not. We've seen a lot of speculation this summer, with most of it being absolute balderdash. So yeah, I think we're just going to have to wait and see. And I know it's cliche, and I'm fed up of hearing it myself. But realistically, this is the squad that we're starting the season with. This is the squad that Klopp's prepared to go into the season with, and hopefully we'll see a couple of incomings. But we're going to have to wait and see who it is. And I'm sure.
Yes, that's definitely the guy I'm talking about. It was spelled out perfectly a second ago. So the gentleman's name is TCH. What is it? TCHOUAMENI, and I've got no idea how you pronounce her first name. Arlian, apparently. Shumani, yes. Well, we've been linked with him from Corriere dello Sport, 25 million. And it's funny because whenever we're linked to one of these players, Juventus also happen to be linked. So I think they like to make it out like Juventus are going to try and beat English clubs to signings by dropping random links for us, because I've not heard sight nor sound of any interest in him. Maybe I'm just sleeping on the guy, and maybe I've missed a great player here, but I know nothing about him.
Yeah, it's weird because I'm usually hot on stuff like this, but yeah, I'll have to be honest. This is one that I'm not aware of. A quick Google suggests he may have. I think he possibly won Liga and Player of the Year. I think it's in the comments somewhere as well. And yeah, I have no idea personally who he is, but maybe
this is why I love our comments, by the way, Jack. I genuinely learn stuff every day from the amazing people in our comment section and our subscribers. Like I never cease to be blown away with the depth of knowledge. It's brilliant. That's why I love coming on here.
Yeah.
It's great to be able to share the bits we get from the privileged positions we sometimes have, or people that we know. But mate, I'm open to learning all the time, and no better people than the great subscribers here to learn from.
I have to be honest, I'm very annoyed at myself that we've been linked to a young player who plays for a European club that's meant to be a good player, and I've not heard of him. I know what I'm doing for the rest of the night when I come off this stream.
There you go. A lot of Football Manager people out there as well. I wanted to bring back up Simon Jordan because I said to you, I don't like a lot of stuff on TalkSport, but I sometimes have time for Simon Jordan because he speaks his mind. And he was speaking about Paris Saint-Germain, and this is what he had to say. I don't think PSG, irrespective of how wonderful they are at circumnavigating financial fair play or what their football projects look like, they're not a proper football club. A proper football club is the Manchester United and Liverpools of this world. Manchester City are beginning to become one, but for me, PSG are a canker sore on the side of football. Got to give Mr. Jordan credit for that.
Yep, that's a perfect quote, isn't it? And I think he does deserve credit for that. He's got that absolutely nailed on, and that's why I think clubs like Liverpool and Manchester United, and I'm not sticking up for them here, but they were keen with the Super League to protect themselves and ensure that they didn't get left behind, because there are clubs like PSG and Man City pumping oil money into football and losing the football part of football, and it's becoming an absolute joke, to be honest with you, Craig.
One thing I did hear from him before, and I spoke to Alex Goldberg last night. That video is out, by the way, on the channel if you guys get a chance to watch it. Well-known Chelsea fan, but we were speaking about the model, and it still riles me to this day, and I know with many of the chat as well, that come 3 p.m. on Saturday, if Liverpool are playing, the odds are we won't be able to watch it. There's a 3 p.m. blackout still in the UK. That draconian law that's been in there for a long time now. I'm very lucky. I'm going to be doing a show on That's Football this Saturday at 3 o'clock. And luckily, in Ireland, we get one random 3 p.m. game on Premier Sports every weekend. This one that happens to be Chelsea on the Saturday. But again, just to bring it back full circle, I wonder, will we ever get to a point where Simon Jordan's suggestion comes into reality? And that was that the Premier League don't sell their rights abroad to different TV providers, that they keep the rights and sell them themselves via a Netflix WWE style subscription model that would, of course, have the whole back catalogue of goals and shows and documentaries. And I don't understand, Jack, how we aren't getting to that point where the TV companies are being pushed aside. I know that they invest a lot into the game, and I know that there's a lot of technology involved in it, but can you imagine the money spinner that would be, guaranteeing that you can watch every single one of your club's games, whether it be Liverpool, Norwich, Manchester United, whoever it is? I think it was a brilliant idea by Simon Jordan, and I really do think it's something that the Premier League consider down the line.
That's the future, mate. There is no way that the Premier League haven't already considered that, and there's no way that the Premier League aren't planning that for the future. We've already seen glimpses that Amazon may want to do that themselves. There's also the fact that we've seen reports that Facebook and companies like that are in talks for doing stuff like this. And it's not long before the Premier League itself realizes its value and brings out a whole broadcasting company themselves. It really is the future. The Premier League is potentially becoming bigger than Sky, and it's realizing that there's a market there, and it doesn't necessarily need broadcasters. It can become its own entity, and the clubs are also realizing that. We've seen that with the Super League talks, especially the big clubs. They're really understanding that now, and it's only a matter of time, Craig. It really is.
I've said this before, but can you imagine a time, let's say, where we're down the line in the Premier League, they've sold their TV rights, so they've got their package, their let's call it their Netflix style service. So I do think that the money should be still split the same way it is. You want fairness between clubs, but you can, of course, circumvent that by allowing the clubs to do something like maybe sell virtual season tickets. Now, I've said this before. Can you imagine 4 or 5 cameras in every stand around Anfield, and how many virtual season tickets you could sell where you put on your VR headset? I know it sounds a bit odd, but you put on your VR headset, you look to your left, you look to your right, and there's cop lights everywhere. You get the sights, you get the sounds of Anfield. Mohamed Salah goes, bangs one in, top bins, then all of a sudden in the top corner, you get 10% off Mohamed Salah shirt if you want to go and buy now. I honestly think that should be the direction the football looks to head.
Oh, it will be, Craig. It sounds crazy for us, but that will be the future. It really will be, and whether that's in our lifetimes or beyond, that's where football will go. It's crazy how fast already technology is evolving, and ultimately it's going to evolve more, and there is more and more to come. And the Premier League has become so big that it can do anything, and I'm sure it's exploring so many different things. And football is going to change. We as football fans have to understand that, and hopefully the Premier League and everyone else involved in football does it the right way, and not in the Super League way where we just hear overnight that things are changing, and they act like dictators of the game that was created by fans like you and I. So yeah, hopefully they do it in the right way, and things like that. For me, Craig, it sounds brilliant.
It just seems to even try and explain to somebody that living in the UK or Ireland that you can't watch every one of your team's games. If you're fortunate enough to have a season ticket home and away, of course you can do it. But we know now that it's no longer just a tribal city-based sport. The Premier League is watched the world over, and the fact that those closest to it in England and Ireland and Wales and Scotland and Northern Ireland can't even watch every one of their club's games, whether it be through paying extra for a game or whatever. It just, I don't know, man, it baffles me. Whereas every other sport I can think of, if you're a Red Sox fan, I'm sure you can watch every Major League Baseball game the Red Sox play in. If you're a fan of the Lakers, I'm sure that you can watch all the Lakers games. It annoys the shit out of me that it still happens. But I want to get back to transfers because I know we're time is against us and we're running on here, and I want to get some more questions from the audience. But before I do, so get your questions ready. Here's a heads up. Get your questions ready. And don't forget, by the way, if you want it 20% off at manscaped.com, use our code WFM20. Your balls will definitely thank you later. And Jack might even let us shave his puppy at one point down the line. Bobby might need a little shaving. What type of dog is he, by the way? I forgot to ask that.
It's a English Springer Spaniel. So it's a crazy dog. It really is.
Oh, it's a working dog. That's a working dog right there.
Absolute crazy dog. He's causing us mayhem, but he's cute, so I'll let him off.
Yeah, I'm a dog person myself. I absolutely love them. Anyway, look, a few people in the chat are asking, so get your questions ready, folks, because we'll end the last 15 with a Q&A. But Jack, I just want to get your thoughts on: are we getting to a point now where Sal Niguez to Liverpool could be done and dusted, as in dead in the water, not there? And is it a Renato Sanchez or nothing? Because I've always held this thought in my own mind that Renato Sanchez was holding off to see what the situation was with Barcelona. Now, I've seen, I think, Fabrizio Romano say this, and again, I put my head in my hands and go, I said this 4 weeks ago and nobody listened to me. But I've always had the feeling that, you know, that's his preferred destination, and if Barcelona can somehow sort their numbers out, he could go there. And secondly, there was an opinion piece in the Echo today. I can't remember. I don't know if it was Theo Squires or who wrote the article, but it was playing around with the idea of a Felipe Coutinho return. And I want to get your thoughts on that. If it was a loan, if they just wanted him off the books because they couldn't afford his wages, or if they're willing to give him away, would you take him at 29?
Well, firstly, I want to bring your attention to a Kakashi Hataki. Sorry, I butchered his name. His comment. Are you reading that?
Which one? I've still got he's not on the radar one up.
Thoughts on a straight swap, Henderson for Pogba?
Okay, let me just remove this other one. All right, where's this one? Thoughts on a straight swap. What was the guys? Oh, yes, this one. You know what, mate? I wouldn't take Paul Pogba at Liverpool for free, regardless of any swap, because I wouldn't want to deal with the whole circus that comes with Mina Raiola and that I'm leaving, I'm staying, I'm leaving, I'm staying, I'm leaving, I'm staying, give me more money, I'm leaving, I'm staying. I couldn't be arsed with it. I talk to Goldbridge about it all the time. I say it must be like banging your head against a brick wall.
I don't understand that comment at all. But to go back on what you said about Coutinho, would I take him? Well, firstly, you sounded the Coutinho klaxon, but you know it's interesting. It really is, because you know there's still a player there, and it's not quite worked out for him at Barcelona. But we know his capabilities, and we know that he'd love to come back to us in a heartbeat. But I don't think I'd go back personally. No, I think we need a different type of player now. I think we as a football club have moved on. We've excelled without him. And I think, you know, we've shown him that the grass isn't always greener on the other side. And, you know, I think it's, let's compare it to something in real life terms. You know, it's not always great going back to the X's. And I think that's what we need to think in regards of Coutinho.
Yeah, very rarely ever works, does it, when they come back for a second time? Especially when, you know, I'm going to get in so much trouble here, but I'm married, so I think I can get away with this. The 25-year-old version of your missus is certainly a different version to the 40-year-old version of your missus. And I'm not just talking about in the bedroom department. I mean, I prefer the 40-year-old version of my missus, because she's well-rounded, she's educated, she's the yin to my yang. But I definitely wouldn't want to go back and have the 25-year-old version of my missus again, because at this point in my life, I'd feel like I'd be bouncing off the walls. So I wouldn't be able for it.
And I think, Craig, as well, if you're speaking on behalf of your missus, she'd say the same. Like, you know, the 25-year-old Craig had never used Manscaped ball deodorant, and now you have. And therefore, you know, you've not sat alongside Mark Goldbridge either, whereas now you have. So, yeah, I'm sure your missus would say the same.
25-year-old Craig had a bit of a Samuel L. Jackson going on down there, mate.
Absolutely. So yeah, I'd say let's not go back. Let's not do that again. Look, thank you, Coutinho, absolute hero of mine, my favourite player for so many years. But you know, he was desperate to leave. He was desperate. He's gone. We've shown him that the grass isn't always greener. So yeah, love tits.
I'm hanging on here, by the way, folks, because. Is it all right with you, Jack? We go on past 10, because I'm very mindful that if there is going to be an announcement, we will hear it around 10 o'clock. Yeah. So stay with us, folks, because we're going to hang on just in case, because I know a lot of you guys are asking, when's the announcement? Will there be an announcement? What's the St. George's Hall stuff? And the truth is, at this moment in time, we're as in the dark as all of you guys are on it. A bit of an update, by the way. So it seems that the away kit for this season has basically sold out almost everywhere because it's been so damn popular. And those that are wondering about when it's coming back in stock, it looks like September, unless you're lucky enough to be of a small size, in which case I think the Vapor kit, you know, the really expensive one, I think that's still available.
But Craig, how annoying is that? And I'm sure New Balance are sat there incredibly frustrated because we were told this wouldn't happen with Nike. We were told this would not be the case, but it has happened again. And, you know, I'm sure Liverpool will be extremely annoyed with Nike because this was part of the legal process. We were told as supporters, as a club, that this wouldn't happen. And it was just because New Balance were a lot smaller than Nike. But it's happened again. And Nike have answers, have questions to answer, in my opinion.
Yeah, particularly when you look at the point of view of we get 30 million guaranteed and then a percentage of the shirt sales, 20%, I think it is, if my memory's right. So, you know, every day that there isn't a Liverpool shirt being available to be sold, that is money that's down. And the article even went on to suggest that Sports Direct, I mean, JD Sports, you know, they were fair enough to not just look at the Liverpool stores and even the Nike website. It's, I mean, one, it's good to see that, you know, they got the temperature of the fan base right with the away shirt. But you're right. You should be making hay while the sun shines here. And how it seems to keep underestimating the popularity of Liverpool fans and buying shirts. So we've seen it when, you know, the nicest goalkeeper shirt I think I've ever seen with New Balance brought that black and gold one out. That was sensational, but almost impossible to get your hands on. And I can only imagine how frustrating it must be right now for both fans and, of course, the club sitting there going, God, this kit's selling really well. And you can't get a hold of it for love nor money.
Whenever Liverpool make a good kit, it seems to get sold out. And, you know, you think when we bought in Nike, that wouldn't be the case. We were promised that wouldn't be the case. But here we are again, another nice kit, another time that it's sold out. And, you know, you'd think a company like Nike would be better prepared for this because that's what they told us when they went through that court battle with New Balance. So it's bizarre and I don't like it at all.
We have Connor in the background, by the way, producing. So if anything does come up, I'm trusting Mr. Crosby. See, he can hear me when I'm talking. I'm trusting that Mr. Crosby will be keeping an eye on all the accounts at 10 o'clock to see what the news may or may not be. Well, let's go to some questions then from people in the chat. It's pronounced Nike. Geez, that bothers me. I'm sure I said Nike. I'm almost certain I said Nike. I mean, I do go Nike. Between them both.
Yeah,
I go between them both, mate. And Adidas and Adidas as well, depending on, I don't know. I don't even know what it's dependent on.
Tomato, you know, Primark, Primark. There's loads, you know, people announce things.
It's actually called pennies in Ireland.
Oh, there you go. But yeah, it's for me, it's always been Nike. I get it's Nike, I get it, but I can't stop myself from saying Nike. And I try to say Nike sometimes, but it's just a forced habit.
Like let's look at it this way. Nike Air Max sounds so much better than Nike Air Max. It just doesn't roll off the tongue as well, does it? Now, I know that the person that made the point is absolutely spot on. They are correct. It is pronounced Nike, but you know, sometimes you just have to roll with the punches. And Nike Air Max sounds a lot better than Nike Air Max. So
yeah, it will always be Nike to me, always.
Question here from Ryan says 3 midfielders for Saturday, Craig. Now, I don't want to give mine away because my preview video is coming out tomorrow. So let's ask Jack Gill. If you want to actually go through the entire 11, Jack, and give us a score prediction, have a bash at that one.
Well, I did it the other night, didn't I? 6-0. That's what I'm staying with. We're going to win 6-0. It's going to be a great big win to start the season. I'm going with Tsimikas getting a brace of assists. Trent getting another brace of assists. I think we're going to absolutely run riot. I think Salah's going to get a hat-trick. But the team, I think, will be Alisson in goal, Tsimikas left back, Trent right back. I'm going with Van Dijk and Matip. And I'm going to go with Fabinho, Keita, Milner. I'm not saying that I necessarily want Milner to start, but I think he will. And then I think it'll be Mane, Salah, Jota. I think that's the team for me.
We're not a million miles apart. I don't want to give away my team. We're definitely a million miles apart on the score prediction, but we're not a million miles away with the starting 11. And on that one, actually, I was looking into the history of this. We've played Norwich only 66 times. I would have thought we would have played Norwich way more than 66 times. And the referee for this one as well is Andre Mariner. with, I think, Stuart Atwell in the VAR room, if my memory is correct, for the game at half. I love a 5:30 kickoff, by the way, on Saturday. I'm delighted about that.
Yeah, 5:30 kickoffs are great, aren't they? And seems like a decent, well, I say decent referee. There's not really any in England, are there, these days? But yeah, it's not one that sticks out as a potential worry. And Norwich is really a game that we should be winning to kick our season off at the end of the day. And fingers crossed we can do that and can do it in a convincing way.
It's funny we speak about Nike so much tonight, yet we're both sitting here in Adidas tops.
I love Adidas. I really do.
I said the Adidas bit just to wind this guy up, by the way.
Yeah, to be fair, I say Adidas, and I think I wish Liverpool got Adidas rather than Nike. But
I'm an Adidas freak as well. Apart from trainers, I do have my Coppas. I do have a couple of different pairs of Adidas Coppas, but I have to say, like you, mate, I'm an Adidas freak. If you look at my wardrobe, everything bar Liverpool stuff up there is mainly Adidas.
I love them both, but in terms of football kits and stuff like that, Adidas is all over Nike. It really is. I hate the copy and pasted Nike kits. I hate them. You saw it I think it was last year with our third kit that was very similar to the Croatia one. They do it so often with so many teams, Nike, and I think Adidas are a lot more original with their kits, personally.
Yeah, I do. I like the New Balance stuff, I have to say. I really liked a lot of their kits. I got one kit I have upstairs that I don't really get to wear too much, actually. That is an Adidas kit, is the Boca Juniors kit, which I absolutely love, and they'd switched from Nike. I was lucky enough, by the way, to get one of those Atletico Mineiro tops. Do you remember that one that went on sale? Well, I say get it. They took my money, and I have an order number, but that's about it. I've no idea of when it might come or when it might not come, but that is one of the nicest shirts I've seen in many a year. And again, it was a fan design shirt, which was great to see.
Yeah, fan design shirts are always a hit, really, aren't they? And I love them concept kits that you see. Loads of great graphic designers on Twitter every year that seem to do a better job than the companies themselves. And they get better and better, these concept kits. And when we were announced that we were getting Nike, the concept kits that were around were unreal, but they've been below par, in my opinion, so far.
Any more questions, folks? Please do keep them in. Kevin reckons it's going to be 5-0 at the weekend. And look, we do usually have high-scoring games against Norwich, and I wouldn't say no to it, but I just have a feeling with, it being 13 months since they were relegated and back up into the Premier League, I think Carrow Road is going to be rocking, and I think they've got a goal in them, if I'm being honest with you, Norwich. Whether it's Timu Pukki or not, we'll have to wait and see. But I do think that they have a goal in them. And I'm intrigued to see how Todd Cantwell gets on this season as well, because he's somebody that many moons ago we were keeping an eye on.
Yeah, it's a very interesting one with Todd Cantwell. There seem to be quite a few clubs that are interested in him, but there doesn't seem to be any movement, does there? But I think if Norwich are to go down again, people will be very interested in Todd Cantwell. I don't think he'll want another season in the Championship. And I think there'll be many clubs that want to get him out of Norwich. I think Max Aarons is another interesting one. I think he'll be in the same boat.
They'll definitely miss by the way. That is a belter of a comment, and that just ties into the business that Aston Villa did. And we've obviously have experience with Christian Perslow, who was part of the team that brought FSG in and got rid of Hicks and Gillette. You probably remember himself, Martin Broughton, on the steps of the courtroom after that one. And it was interesting to hear the thought process behind 3 players to replace Jack Grealish at Aston Villa, rather than just the one. And I also love the way that they left in no doubt that Manchester City paid 100 million quid, because the way clubs like to underplay what they actually paid for players. So I thought that was a very interesting thing, but it's not something I want to become commonplace, if I'm being honest with you. I think it was an exceptional circumstance that called for an exceptional measure. And I wonder, am I in the minority on that one, folks? Would you like to see this more often from chairmen or people that are running football clubs? And how about you, Jack? Do you think it should be more commonplace, or was this, a once-off thing because it's Grealish?
It's an interesting one. I thought it was top class. I think it sums up Aston Villa, who have earned a lot of respect from many football fans this summer with their transfer business. I think Christian Perzo was spot on. He described absolutely everything to Aston Villa fans, and I think it was exceptional circumstances because he really was a huge player for that football club, the captain. He was obviously a player that had come right the way through their academy. But it is nice to see it in football, and it does show that there's still some things in football that are for the fans. And in a year where I said, Craig, that a lot of football fans are learning the opposite, it was nice to see that there are still some clubs at the top of the game and in the Premier League that are considering the fans and are putting the fans first. And for me, I welcome it more often.
Where's it gone? Not this one, sorry. Somebody's tried to put us on the spot. Where is it? This one. Is Doku coming? Now, we touched on this a lot, and I'm aware that people come in and out of the chat, but let me put it this way. You can never give a definitive answer in football because it moves so quickly, and if I had £50 now and there was a yes part of the table and a no part of the table, I'd push my £50 towards the yes side of the table. That's about as much as I'm willing to commit to it. From what we've heard on the grapevine, from the few little bits and pieces we know, it's just a matter of if they can make everything add up and push it over the line this summer. But there's certainly interest in Jeremy Doku. But for you, Jack, if I gave you the £50 now and said push it to left for yes or no, to the right, what would you be doing?
I'd up it to 60 and push it to the left.
I like it. I like the ballsiness. Well played, sir. Bonus points for that one. I do like you don't sit on the fence, Jack. It's one of your favourite attributes of mine, I really have to say. What's this? Craig Neil Jones said.
I read that earlier. Apparently, Neil Jones has squashed it. Somebody said that in the comments earlier.
Neil Jones has seemed to have squashed everything this summer that I've seen. It's been no more transfers from Neil Jones. Is he still at goal? Is that still the outlet that Neil Jones works with? Yeah. Now, look, I don't know the gentleman from Adam, so I've no opinion either way, but I certainly know that everything I've seen has been downplaying what Liverpool might do in this market, which annoys me because there's been a lot of spin in this window, a lot of he'll be like a new player and a lot of next summer FC. And, I'm an eternal optimist. I still believe that we'll get something done. And I think we'll see I have a feeling we'll see movement quickly whenever we get the Shaqiri deal wrapped up. I'm very skeptical as to whether we'll manage to get Origi out on a permanent transfer because, to be fair as well, as much as I would say I'd like Origi to be sold, I am very mindful of the fact that it is this man's life. It is his career. It's he only has one football career. He should be fully happy with whatever city or club or project he's pushed to, and he shouldn't be pushed towards it by the club. I mean, we often forget about that. And, even though I say I might want a player to move on, I always want the best for them. So I said to you earlier on, he's shite, mate. But, that's my opinion of him at Liverpool for our standard. But I always will wish him well wherever he might go. And I hate to see situations where players feel like they're being bullied out of a club.
Yeah, absolutely. Divock Origi, though he very clearly isn't good enough for this football club anymore. He's brought us some fantastic moments. He scored in Madrid. He scored, of course, he was a huge part of the game against Barcelona. And of course, there's that fantastic moment where he scored against Everton. He's brought us some fantastic moments. He also scored in the Dortmund game. It seemed to be at one point that whenever there's a big game and a big moment, Divock Origi is involved. And yeah, I will wish him the best wherever he goes, but it's definitely time for him to move on, isn't it?
Someone saying the African Cup could shaft our season. Well, I suppose there's a few ways of looking at that. One, as we touched on earlier on, the guys won't miss too many games, and you can be assured there'll be private jets laid on to get them back as quickly as possible. But I'd also like to point out that we won't be the only club that will be affected by players being lost to the Premier League. And ladies and gents, let me put it into the chat. So while we're waiting to see if there is 10 o'clock news and everybody's refreshing as quickly as they can, something caught my attention the other day. I mean, we all sit here, and I've done it all summer, and spoke about the lack of squad depth that we have. at Liverpool Football Club. But when I seen the game against Bilbao and the game against Osasuna, and I seen two different sets of 11s put out, it got me thinking that maybe we're not as short as I think we are. It's more that we may have an abundance in a certain position. Like, I could understand if we don't bring in a midfielder, because I think we could just about get away with it. But I can't understand if we move Origi and Shaqiri on and we don't bring in an attacking player, even allowing for Harvey, Elliot having that attacking spark in him. Because I don't trust that we'll be able to get through with Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain and Naby Keita, who would be the front-footed of the midfield players, the more attack-minded. I don't trust that we'll get through the season with them. So I'm intrigued to see what does happen on that one. I'm reading the comments really quickly. Everybody flicking through their phones. I mean, 10 o'clock, and the reason it is 10 o'clock, by the way, is that's cut-off time for the press for tomorrow's papers and stuff. So nothing that we've seen yet. I mean, there's probably people in and around St. George's Hall right now just wondering what the hell is going on, if anything is going on.
Yeah, I don't think anything's happening tonight. I don't know.
How did it all start? Like, where did this 12th come from? Because I've never knew. I just went along with the ride, mate. I've no idea. I've never had any idea what it was about.
I wonder if it was something that was made up based on the fact that, we heard that the Eiffel Tower was booked for the announcement of Messi. I wonder if it's just something that, was offered back by fans hoping that Liverpool was going to do something soon. But yeah, I can't see anything coming tonight. We've heard no murmurs, nothing. I just don't really see it as the night that Liverpool make any big announcement, really.
I'm still going to hang on. I'm still going to hang on for a few more minutes just to make doubly sure, because I cannot tell you the amount of times I finished the stream and ended up having to rush back on to do something that comes out a little bit later on. Someone's saying, lol, it's a scam. It could well be, mate. I mean, that's what we're all waiting to find out. And I love to know where these things start. Now, what we do need this season, I'm looking forward to hearing, Jack, is a few new songs, a few more songs on the cop for a few players. I mean, I'm going to miss not getting to sing the Gini Wijnaldum song. I won't lie to you. It's one of my personal favourites. Even the El Saturday Night Divock Origi, I'm going to miss that one if he moves on. Who do we need songs for? Who's top of the list of needing a song?
Well, Canate needs one, doesn't he? A new fresh face. He certainly needs one. And yeah, I think he's one that will get one pretty soon. And
I love him already, by the way. I'm fully on board the hype train for him.
And me. But I love a new song for anyone, you can always refresh songs. So yeah, Harvey, Elliot as well. There's a couple bouncing around for Trent for RSH14 who suggested him. There may be one for Simicast coming along, and if there is, I hope it involves throwing plates and the fact that he's a Greek scouser. Fabinho as well, he needs one. I think he really deserves one. So hopefully he gets one soon.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of my favourite things, and I do love hearing a bit of there's something that the cop wants you to know. I love a bit of C Senor ringing around Anfield. I love a Balls of Fire ringing around Anfield as well. And, there's a small outside chance I might be able to get tickets to the Chelsea game, by the way. I'm waiting to hear back on that one. So keep everything crossed for me so you could be having to step in here, Jack, and taking the reins for the watch along. But we must say, actually, on match days this season moving forward, you're getting double, Jack. Because Jack's going to be on the Anfield Agenda Instagram doing the team news announcement on there, because we're trying to build up our socials. And we thought, we could do it, whereas I bring Jack on and we do a reaction show together. But I thought, no, let's give Jack his own platform. So I'll do my post-match reaction, and then Mr. Gill will be coming along to give his post-match reaction as well. So make sure you show Jack as much love as you can this season, guys, because he is going to be the new me. Jack is going to be, I don't want to say I'm grooming you, because that sounds like all kind of wrong, mate. But yeah, it's definitely exciting times to have you back with us through the season, and we're looking forward to some crazy moments as well. We do need a bit of Steve Bland in between the two of us, to be fair, to keep us, somewhat in a straight line.
Yeah, especially if the season's going well. I dread to think what the two of us will be like, especially on videos together. But yeah, I'm absolutely really looking forward to this season. I'm looking forward to doing more on the socials, looking forward to videos like this. and of course all the post-match stuff as well, and maybe seeing me on a few watch-alongs when you're at the game, and of course, you know, maybe seeing more content from me as well. But I've not spoke to you about that, Craig. But so we'll see about that.
More content, the better, as far as I'm concerned, mate. There can never be too much content. I just only have so many hours in the day, so yeah. It's how do you make the team news edits? That is a question that we say this is a Conor Crosby question, because I can barely spell my own name when it comes to writing stuff on a computer, mate, let alone designing anything. It doesn't look like we're going to get this 10 o'clock announcement, 5 past now, and still nothing coming in. Conor hasn't WhatsApped me. I've been checking my phone. Oh, there is one message there. Who's it from? It's not from Conor anyway. Oh,
it's from me.
That's from you, yeah, sorry. I knew I should have been checking my phone. Look, ladies and gentlemen, we'll probably bring this one to a close. Jack is a great contributor to Anfield Agenda, which I don't disagree with, and it's always nice to see. One thing I did say to you, Jack, is when you weren't around for a little bit, when you were having your busy summer and you were unwell at times and stuff, there was loads of love for you in the chat. Lots of people missing you and asking when you were coming back. So you definitely, and I'm assuming they're all women, to be fair. I know I like to think I'm the housewife's favourite, but I think you're going to steal that one from under me, pal.
It's nice to hear when people give you praise, but I'm sure there's lots of haters out there soon that we'll see soon as well. Yeah, it's always lovely to hear, and you know, yeah, I'm really looking forward to this season, Craig. I really am.
You know what we say about the haters, mate? Fuck them. Simple as that.
Yeah.
We don't care. Look, ladies and gentlemen, we will call that one a night. Don't forget, get yourselves over to manscaped.com. Use our code WFM20 to get yourself 20% off absolutely anything over there. Tomorrow is Friday, so what's going to happen tomorrow? The Norwich preview is going to go out, and my predictions for the season are going to come out as well. I will be live on That's Football tomorrow with Mark Goldbridge watching the Brentford Arsenal game. So, you know, hopefully see Arsenal get a bit of a spanking there. Be nice to start the banter early for the season from them. From myself, from Jack, from everybody else involved with the channel, thank you for your support. We look forward to a busy season ahead, and lots of love to all of you. Take care.